Welcome to 10 Things on Windows 10. We're going to walk you through the key reasons customers are choosing to upgrade to Windows 10 and to help you with the conversations you'll have as you start to engage with customers to plan their deployments. At the end, we'll talk about Windows Analytics, which is the next thing to do to engage customers and move them forward on their Windows 10 journey. Simply put, there are three core conversations to have with a customer around Windows 10. Windows 10 is better for IT because it's designed for modern IT. It's better for the organisation because it's simply more secure than previous versions of Windows. And finally, it's better for the user because it improves the productivity and their ability to work together in teams. We're going to look at each of these and some examples of what makes Windows 10 better for IT, for the organisation and for the user. These should provide you an easy way to remember and kick off any conversations around Windows 10 deployment, depending on who you're talking with. So let's start with better for IT. Windows 10 is designed for a modern IT environment. It really represents a paradigm shift on how previous versions of Windows were deployed and managed. Many IT organisations have become used over the years to standard ways of preparing and deploying new installation of Windows every few years. Many remember the challenges this presented in the past, particularly around how applications were typically not compatible from version to version, and this often deters them from wanting to engage on the next upgrade, particularly given how many other projects they're involved in. However, the engineering in Windows 10 is designed to ensure it's much easier to deploy. It's also an operating system designed for the cloud, including being managed and updated via the cloud, using the latest MDM technologies or a customer's existing configuration tools. Critically, Windows is also designed to be updated on a much more frequent basis, similar to what people are now familiar with on their mobile devices. Windows as a service ensures Windows will stay secure, as well as adding new features every 6 months. Customers should plan for ongoing updates at a pace that suits them. In fact, Windows 10 deployment planning shouldn't be thought of as a project, but more of a process and an ongoing process with customers planning for regular updates. For Windows 10, we will provide a few deployment choices. For existing computers, we believe the easiest approach is to leverage the in-place upgrade process to move from Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 directly to Windows 10. This process lets Windows do all the work, leveraging existing software distribution or patch deployment capabilities to initiate and monitor the upgrade process. Importantly, this in-place upgrade keeps all a user's data, apps and settings in place, so it's much easier to do and leaves the user with an instantly familiar environment. We will still fully support the traditional wipe and load process too for customers that prefer to go that route. With Windows 10, we aim to move away from wiping and reloading, and this includes on new device deployments. With the new autopilot feature, it makes it much quicker and easier to upgrade a new machine and set it up for use. A device can be shipped directly from order to the user, who simply connects to a network and enters their user credentials. The machine can then be enrolled into a management tool such as Intune and security policies applied. Then standard configuration tools allow it to be configured, apps installed, policies and customizations delivered, even transitioning from Windows Pro to Enterprise, with next to no input from the user aside from connecting to an available network, selecting their language and entering their username and password. Customers do have concerns over Windows as a service, mainly as it's not well understood and people are not familiar with the detail. It's important to reassure customers that when upgrading to Windows 10, they should find their apps compatible if they're running on Windows 7. And there are good tools that ease the transition and specialist partners with technology to speed up app repackaging and solve difficult app compat problems. Critically, they need to understand that each feature update to Windows 10 is supported for 18 months, and they can upgrade users, typically in waves, at a time of their choosing using their current management tools. Of course, the benefit of moving to more frequent updates is that it helps ensure the operating system stays ahead of security threats. We can deliver new features and the latest technology in a more timely manner. And as each is a smaller incremental update than the previous big shifts every 3 to 5 years, it'll be much easier to implement. Once on Windows 10, updates are simply an in-place upgrade. One of the biggest reasons we see customers move to Windows 10 is to improve their security. Unfortunately, we are all too well aware of the increasing threat and the severity of cyber attacks today. Every day the news has stories of data breaches or ransomware attacks, and with GDPR approaching, there is greater need to ensure compliance and the ability to respond to threats quickly and effectively. The security features in Windows 10, in fact the whole approach to security, has improved massively since Windows 7. Microsoft takes security very seriously. We spend over $1 billion a year on our security practices and technology. Our comprehensive approach to security helps protect data wherever it may be, in the data center, on a phone, on a desktop, or en route through the internet. Microsoft has spent the last few years heavily investing in the security domain to not only enable our customers to mitigate the effects of the ever-evolving threat landscape, but also empower customers to succeed in the new norm of daily cyber attacks. Our platform investments are across 3 key areas: threat protection, identity and access management, and information protection. The whole approach to threat protection has changed. Previously, once an attacker has breached the system, they could run rife until they achieved their objectives, similar to breaching the city walls of an ancient city. No matter how high the walls, once breached, they let an attacker get anywhere inside. With Windows 10, we have multiple layers of defense and separate out critical security elements using virtualization technologies. So, for example, user credentials are kept away from the main operating system and as a separate hypervisor. Whilst there are several new threat protection technologies and massive improvements in features like Windows Defender Antivirus, the nature of attacks across the internet means that identity is typically the battleground, and protecting user identities is a key defense. This means introducing easy-to-implement multi-factor authentication or biometric passwords. And finally, it's essential to protect an organization's information. This means not just encrypting hard disks, though this is important, but being able to ensure individual files can only be accessed by authorized users. Windows Information Protection helps simplify categorizing information according to an organization's defined policies, and then ensuring that this is fully encrypted and can only be read with valid user IDs, even if the data is copied to USB or emailed outside of the organization. And it's of course important to remember that all this incremental security is built into Windows 10, not bolted on by third parties. This has a number of benefits. Firstly, it's more reliable as it's designed and tested in the main OS code. Secondly, it's easier to manage as everything is managed using Windows management tools and is updated via the normal Windows update process. And lastly, it's typically also lower cost, as the features are part of Windows Enterprise and don't require third-party software and the associated licensing costs. Keep in mind that Windows 7 was designed 10 years ago. That's a lifetime in cybersecurity. The nature of threats was completely different. In fact, there are really very few other parts of our lives where we would continue to accept 10-year-old technology, typically not our cars, video recorders, and certainly not our mobiles. This chart shows the various security elements built into Windows 7 and highlights the gaps that are typically filled with costly third-party solutions today. Moving to Windows 10 adds significant new capabilities, even on legacy hardware, where we can improve Windows Defender and introduce new capabilities like Windows Hello and post-breach detection using Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. However, on a modern device, with UEFI BIOS and Secure Boot, then you add even more additional protections. This ensures a protected device from boot, allows for full disk encryption, and allows implementation of virtualization-based security capabilities such as Device Guard, where only trusted code can run, and Credential Guard, where a user's credentials are secured outside of the core OS. This one feature was why the US Department of Defense chose to move all 4 million of their devices to Windows 10. And finally, we shouldn't forget that whilst the CEO will want Windows 10 to keep his organisation secure, and the IT department will want the modern deployment and management capabilities to simplify and reduce costs, the users themselves will love the new features to help them achieve more. Most consumers in the UK who use Windows are now running Windows 10, and it has the highest user satisfaction of any version of Windows ever. Given it feels familiar to Windows 7 users, there is minimal training, and many users are now demanding it at work too. Features like Enterprise Search, allowing people to find anything from apps, settings, help or data, all from the built-in search box, helps them get things done faster. Collaboration is easier with built-in cloud saving and sharing and co-authoring with Office 365. Finally, Windows 10 unlocks the capabilities of new hardware such as pen-enabled devices with Windows Ink and touch-enabled 2-in-1s that are both laptops and tablets, and even the ability to interact with the built-in digital assistant Cortana by simply talking. Let's talk about why Windows 10 is better for users and will make them more productive. Firstly, consider the device portfolio in use today by many of your staff. Not the latest cool devices that our CXOs and senior managers get to use, but the device a typical user gets. It's probably a little big and heavy, with a standard hard drive, so it's slow to boot. The battery life isn't great. It runs Windows 7, and overall can be a little frustrating to network. Maybe they have to carry security keys and dongles and type codes in to get access to corporate systems. In summary, it's probably a little frustrating. Is this really the main interface with our digitally transformed organisation we're asking users to sit behind for most of their working lives and deliver new levels of creativity, productivity and collaboration? This has led many users to bring their own tablets or devices, often creating shadow IT and making it harder to manage and secure, and often means they're carrying multiple devices, or actually leaving their corporate device and not getting access to organisational systems in full. Windows 10 is the best platform for digital transformation, with improved user experiences designed for the cloud that will improve user productivity. People can increase their productivity using modern devices and interacting with apps and data naturally. And with the renaissance in PC design, not just from Surface but from all the major PC vendors, there are a range of thin, light, powerful devices supporting 2-in-1 capabilities, touch, pen and more that users will be proud to carry, and make it less likely they'll bring their own devices with shadow IT and not accessing corporate information and data. So in summary, here are the 9 reasons why customers are starting to move at scale to Windows 10. It's better for IT. Being designed for modern IT means it's easier to deploy, easier to manage, and always up to date. It's better for the organisation, with intelligent security built in, not bolted on. These significant advances help improve threat protection, add identity protection, and ensure that information can be protected wherever it is. It's better for the user, helping them get more done faster, whilst interacting more naturally with a range of beautiful modern devices. Finally, don't forget that Windows 7 goes out of support in January 2020, and customers should be migrating comfortably ahead of this to stay compliant and secure. Additionally, many new PCs based on Intel 7th and 8th generation processors will only run Windows 10. More reasons that customers are starting to move ever faster. So we promised at the start 10 things on 10, and we've only given you 9 so far. The 10th is around the next action you should take with any customer considering a deployment activity. Frequently, the customer won't know exactly what devices they have and if they're compatible, and almost certainly won't have a clear handle on what applications they have on their network and how compatible these are. Windows Analytics is a free tool you can run on their network that answers all these key questions and more. Windows Analytics is a cloud service that requires no new agents on the user's PC. After setting up the service via ONS and leaving it to analyze the network, it provides a dashboard that shows a customer the status of their readiness for Windows 10. It tells them about devices on the network and their compatibility to be upgraded, including drivers, and identifies drivers we can update during the upgrade process if needed. It also summarizes all the apps in use on the estate and tells you how much each app is used. Based on a database of apps, it also tells you if an identified app is known to be compatible and supported by an ISV. If the ISV has not provided a support statement, but we can identify the app, then we're able to report on its compatibility based on telemetry of existing users for the app on Windows 10. This helps many apps into the "don't worry, it'll work" category and allows focus on the unknown apps, and even further to those with significant usage. This process really helps give customers confidence that their app estate will work fine when they move, and it will be a manageable process to be ready. Analytics also provides insight into the Office add-ons and website compatibility, and then can continue to be used in future to provide the same level of insight into a customer's readiness to update to a future feature update. As a cloud service, this is being improved all the time and is now also providing insight into a device's health and identifies drivers and other issues that could be causing system errors, allowing proactive resolution and a better user experience. For more information on analytics, see aka.ms/Windows Analytics. Thanks for watching. We hope this helps you in your conversations with customers and helps them move to a faster deployment and gives you a clear next action that will help them understand their state of readiness and provides you the information needed to build them a process to move to and take advantage of the benefits of Windows 10 as a service. Watch our other videos introducing Microsoft 365, helping you handle customer objections around Windows 10, and on modern management.